Made with Kind Master, Support Us, Arrow, The Guardian, News, Opinion, Sport, Culture, Lifestyle, Alicia Keys, quotation mark, I want to make sure all the issues about race are addressed, end quote, at a hometown launch for her new album. Here, the New York singer-songwriter talks about the U.S. election, Black Lives Matter, and modern family life. Made with Kind Master. Made with Kind Master. Made with Kind Master, Kate Mossman, Sun 6 Nov 2016, 02.00 EST. Alicia Keys has taken over Times Square, bringing 5 blocks of one of the busiest areas of the Western world to its knees. Her, quote, secret, end quote, gig tonight is not so secret. She'll commandeer the epic digital billboards, and her face, lightly freckled and without makeup, as is her way these days, will flash all over American Eagle Outfitters. Times Square is Keys' backyard. She was born in Hell's Kitchen in 1981 and grew up in a one-bedroom apartment on 43rd Street between 9th and 10th Avenue. Her teenage years coincided with the tenure of Mayor Rudy Giuliani. The street is now quietly gentrified and features the Manhattan Plaza Health Club. Made with Kind Master, she has booked the entire 57th floor of the W Hotel to dress for the gig, rest, and do this interview in promotion of Here, her first album in 4 years. Her complicated management system functions like an onion. There is an outer layer of nervy young people glued to Samsungs, a middle layer of big characters in bomber jackets who emerge before showtime and hand out laminates, and an inner layer Keys confidants and partners in her company, AK Worldwide, longtime manager and co-writer Erica Rose, parenthesis, headscarf and curly-haired child in sling, parenthesis, and DJ Walton who is, among many things, a vocal coach and boxing coach with 2 full sleeves of tattoos. Made with Kind Master, advertisement are Naomi Harris, Tyrese Gibson, Black and Blue, only in theaters Thursday. Be the first to see it. Get tickets now, powered by Fandango. Made with Kind Master, sleeves of tattoos. The machinery around the star exists as a shock absorber, and Alicia's suite is almost temple-like in its serenity. 4 shadowy figures sit on high-backed chairs like guests at a strange, gloomy dinner party. 2 cameramen swoop around the room, filming the proceedings. Everyone from Beyonce to Janelle Monáe has their own personal film team these days, capturing your interview for their, quote, personal archive, end quote, or their legal department. In the corner is a girl in a headscarf and jeans who looks so unassuming. I think it's another assistant. Alicia Keys moves to the sofa in her socks, pulls her knees up, and begins talking in her soft, low, boyish voice. Quote, New York wasn't like a beauty pageant. It was a hard, grimy place, and you had to dress accordingly. Quote, Times Square was dark, G. It was dismal, end quote. She says, quote, in the 80s when I was a little girl, this whole Midtown area was a different world. These are the streets that I walked and learned my lessons on and heard the music and witnessed disenfranchised people and people who just had dreams. And Made with Kind Master, music and witness disenfranchised people and people who just had dreams and hopes. Every pimp, every prostitute, every drug dealer, every Broadway dreamer wishing they could be a writer or a musician or an actor, end quote. Advertisement. Save on auto insurance with our award-winning mobile app. Get a quote. State Farm. Her white Italian-Irish mother, Terria Argello, parenthesis, now Joseph in parentheses, raised her alone, working as a legal assistant at the Chadbourne and Park law firm at the Rockefeller Center from the year before she was born until 2001, when her daughter's debut album Songs in A Minor was released. Parentheses, it went on to sell 12 copies. In parentheses, Mum had attended NYU School of the Arts and worked on and off as an actor. She started her Made with Kind Master attended NYU School of the Arts and worked on and off as an actor. She started her daughter young, at 4. Alicia got a part in The Cosby Show as one of Rudy Huxtable's sleepover guests and can be seen small and giggling, riding Bill's leg like a bucking bronco. At 12 in 1993, she attended the newly created, publicly funded professional performing arts school, 10 minutes walk from home and just off Broadway. Claire Danes and Britney Spears were pupils. At one time, she was tutored by, quote, Miss Aziza, end quote. She says wistfully, Aziza Miller, quote, one of the most phenomenal women jazz instructors ever to be born. She was a pianist, an arranger, a producer, a composer, and she had so much vocal prowess. She was badass, and I know for a fact that she influenced a large part of what I became, end quote. The school kept her off the streets. Quote, you walked out the door, you had to be ready to protect yourself, end quote. She says, quote, be covered up, just get to where you were going. I couldn't wear skirts, I couldn't wear heels. On the other hand, it was kind of the area where whoever didn't belong anywhere else could come and belong, end quote. Made with Kind Master, from mean streets to stage school to the big time, all by the age of 20. It was the American dream. When Keys released her first single, Fallen, in 2001, she already had a certain kind of pedigree. She'd been taken on by Clive Davis, who'd signed Janis Joplin and mentored Whitney Houston. Her songs filled with jazz chords and tinkling moonlight sonata-style intros appealed to mature audience as well as a young one. Another big hit, If I Ain't Got You, sounds like a thumping Motown classic now. She was beloved of Stevie Wonder and Bob Dylan. Got all soppy about her riding in thunder on the mountain. Quote, I was thinking about Alicia Keys, couldn't keep from crying, / when she was Made with Kind Master advertisement. Take back control of your media investment. Visit integralads.com, IAS, integral ad, science. Made with Kind Master, PlayStation Store, pre-order now. She's already had one comeback, 2010's Empire State of Mind with her friend Jay-Z is the biggest New York song since Sinatra's. Made with Kind Master, Mountain, quote, I was thinking about Alicia Keys, couldn't keep from crying, / when she was born in Hell's Kitchen. I was living down the line, end quote. Today at 35, but looking 25, she is strangely an elder stateswoman of the sound that has dominated pop in the 21st century. She judges the voice alongside Miley Cyrus, but her own lacks the melismatic warble of modern R&B. Even her new album here, full of ice, cool songs celebrating life's confusions and compromises, bears a closer relationship to neo soul than the songwriting teams of Beyonce or Rihanna. Made with Kind Master advertisement. Call of Duty Modern Warfare pre-order pre-load play at 9 p.m. ET on October 24. PlayStation Store pre-order now. Made with Kind Master. She's already had one comeback, 2010's Empire State of Mind with her friend Jay-Z is the biggest New York song since Sinatra's. and she has remained quietly part of the hip-hop elite. She's known Beyonce since they were 16 and was one of the first artists to sign to Tidal. She struck up sponsorship deals with everyone from BlackBerry to American Express and has a formidable philanthropy career. Then there's the politics: she performed between Bill and Hillary Clinton at Philadelphia's Democratic National Convention in July, which was a difficult day all around, apparently. Quote, really, it was pretty emotional, end quote. She says, quote, Bernie was coming up to support Hillary at that time, and there was this real disappointed energy dash because Bernie is so beloved and he has such powerful thoughts and ideas that really resonate with people. There was this energy to make sure that there wasn't a huge divide within the party, because that would have been devastating. I remember just wanting to relay that, end quote. She says she sees in Clinton the possibility for, quote, how powerful women can be, end quote. Then adds, quote, it's emotional for me as a black woman wanting to make sure that all the issues are made with kind master, quote, how powerful women can be, end quote. Then adds, quote, it's emotional for me as a black woman wanting to make sure that all the issues are addressed in America when it comes to race, when it comes to black people, dash, wanting to make sure that message isn't lost and that it is continuously on all our agendas, dash, particularly Hillary's, end quote. Is she confident, parenthesis, we are talking about 4 weeks ahead of the election, end parenthesis, about the outcome, quote, there's no end to what the family dynamic can look like as long as it's filled with love. Quote, I just refuse to believe that anything else is going to happen, end quote. She says, quote, but I also know it's only going to happen if we're getting out and registering to vote. We have hope, we have potential, semicolon, that I do believe in, end quote. Made with Kind Master advertisement, Core Tech, the original. What's in your core? Find the floor. In 2008, Keys told Blender magazine she thought the Black Panther movement would have gone global if they'd had the platform musicians have today. She might have to start something herself, she mused at the time, dash. Then Black Lives Matter came along and she didn't have to. Tidal donated 1.5 M this year on what would have been Trayvon Martin's 21st birthday in July. Keys Charitable Foundation, We Are Here, put together a protest film, dash, quote, 23 ways you could be killed if you are black in America, end quote, dash, which featured Rihanna and Pharrell Williams. I asked what she thought when her old landlord Giuliani said, dash, in response to Beyonce's tribute to the Panthers at the Super Bowl 50 halftime show, dash, that he'd, quote, saved more black lives than Made with Kind Master, Panthers at the Super Bowl 50 halftime show, dash, that he'd, quote, saved more black lives than anyone on that stage, end quote. Quote, I don't pay attention to things that don't need to be paid attention to, end quote. She says, quote, musicians have a really big part to play in spreading messages about, because they're able to reach a large portion of people on an emotional level. Artists reach people at their heart, semicolon. It's the only time we meet in one place and put our differences aside. When you're in a forum listening to music, all you feel in that moment is love and the understanding, end quote. Advertisement, Cortec, the original. Get 3 samples free. Keys has known her husband, the producer Swizz Beatz, parenthesis, Kasim Dean, end parenthesis, since she was about 16, though they took years to get Made with Kind Master, Swizz Beats, Kasim Dean, end since she was about 16, though they took years to get together. Kanye West once called Dean 38 the best rap producer of all time. His more unusual accolades include Global Ambassador for New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation and a place at Harvard Business School. Dean already had 3 children when he married Keys in 2010. His first son, Prince Nasir, with Nicole Levi, is 16. There's another Kasim with Harlem songwriter Mashonda Tifrir, singer of the song No Panties, and a girl, Nicole, by Jana Sebastian, whose website claims she helped bring grime to Russia. Keys faced her share of scandal with the relationship and covers it in the new single Blended Family, What You Do for Love, which includes a direct address to her stepchildren, quote, I know it started with a little drama, / I hate you had to read it in the paper, / but everything's alright with me and your mama, end quote. Quote, it's about my personal journey with my family and creating a family that's built on compassion and understanding, end quote. She says in her broad new age Y way, quote, that's not an easy road. A lot of the modern family is children. Made with Kind Master, her stepchildren, she says, call her Umi, which is Arabic for mother. Kasim Dean is Muslim, quote, 4 years of greatness and cheers to 100 plus more, inshallah, end quote. He Instagrammed on their anniversary. I ask her if she has converted to Islam. There is a pause. Then she says, quote, I love learning about different religions and discovering the different ways to worship. Made with Kind Master, her broad new age Y way, quote, that's not an easy road. A lot of the modern family is children from different relationships. That's what family is today, and there's never been a song about how beautiful it is. There's no end to what the family dynamic can look like as long as it's filled with love for the kids, end quote. Made with Kind Master, advertisement, Capital One, Quicksilver One, interested in earning 1.5% cash back. It's a great time to get started. Learn more. Made with Kind Master, quote, I love learning about different religions and discovering the different ways to worship and to love the greatness and the higher being that surrounds us all. I definitely believe in a bigger presence, and I really respect all religions, semicolon, at their core they all teach the same message, community and kindness and looking out for each other, end quote. Growing up, she rarely saw her own father, Craig Cook, an air steward of Jamaican background who became a masseur, but she maintained a close relationship with his parents, though her father's absence was not, she points out, quote, exactly a topic for the dinner table, end quote, Made with Kind Master, take back control of your media investment. Visit integralads.com, IAS, Integral Ad Science. Made with Kind Master, quote, I did have a deeper relationship with my Nana than I did with my father, and again, that's how life goes. There's no rule book. My grandmother was a very loving woman. The table would be filled with Christmas cards. She could cook really well too, and then one day she just decided to stop. My grandfather had passed. Something just changes, you know. End quote. When her grandmother became terminally ill in 2006, Keys took off for Egypt for 3 weeks by herself. That a single holiday had such a formative impact on her reminds you how young she was when fame hit. She named the first of her two sons Egypt 5 years later, like his namesake with its quote impossible structures end quote. Egypt Dean loves to build quote I mean he's obsessed. He's like an architect end quote. At 5 years old, the Tot already has a co-credit producing a song for Kendrick Lamar Untitled 07 on Lamar's Untitled Unmastered album, parentheses sample lyric, quote, shut your fucking mouth and get some cash, you bitch, exclamation, end quote, end parenthesis. He was posted on Instagram by his father playing a piano intro, quote, he really did it, end quote, she assures me, quote, he came up with it, he heard the melody, picked it out on his piano, and Made with Kind Master assures me, quote, he came up with it, heard the melody, picked it out on his piano, and brought it to the studio, played it, programmed it. It's pretty cool, end quote. Egypt watched Super Bowl 50 sitting next to Kendrick, Jay-Z, and Usher, quote, I don't listen to anything Donald Trump says. Does anybody care what he thinks about women? Keys has said that having children has made her feel more womanly. Quote, as I grow and I get older, I'm realizing more and more that there's such a beautiful, sensual power that we have as women, end quote. She says, quote, it's really unbelievable, and that's why everybody falls to our feet, end quote. In a piece for Lena Dunham's Lenny newsletter, she explained the decision to go without makeup, which has gripped the world, from the TV hosts on NBC's Today morning news show who wiped their own off in solidarity to the message boards of Muslim girls debating the difference between liberation and empowerment. The stuff made her feel like a quote chameleon end quote. She says going without it is terrific marketing. Going without it is a terrific marketing trick, She even wrote a lyric that goes, quote, maybe all this Maybelline is covering my esteem, end quote. And her Made with Kind Master was from New York, photograph, Paula Kudaki. But the campaign certainly suits Keys' muted, delicately retro R&B persona like an American Nina Cherry. What she was doing 15 years ago feels significant now compared. Made with Kind Master, Maybelline is covering my esteem, end quote, and her makeup artist recently revealed that the no makeup look actually requires quite a bit of makeup. Made with Kind Master, Alicia Keys, quote, Mary J. Blige really resonated with me because she was from New York, end quote, photograph, Paula Kudaki. Made with Kind Master 15 years ago feels significant now compared with the modern day vogue for ironic sluttiness and the subsequent nail biting over what it means to be feminist in pop. Keys and many of her contemporaries around the millennium offered something comparatively nuanced like TLC. Her style was boyish, trousers, boots, and braids, but her lyrics examined love and its vulnerability. One of her signature songs, You Don't Know My Name, feels almost quaint now as she poses as a waitress and rings the guy in the quote fly blue suit end quote to ask him out, quote, I know girls don't usually do this, end quote. It was a relaxed kind of self dash possession, girl power without a soapbox. When I ask her what was going on, she lights up, quote, it was so good, end quote. She says, quote, in the 1990s with Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, those really big female artists were very glamorous. It was all about the glamour at that time. And so there was a big switch, the desire to be more who you were, not so beholden to this whole standard of beauty. It was a liberation. You see Mary J. Blige dash. She did the same wearing the combat boots, end quote. So it was an attitude as much as a fashion. Made with kind master, so it was an attitude as much as a fashion. Quote, yeah, definitely. Mary really resonated with me because she was from New York and that's what New York looked like. It wasn't like a beauty pageant. It was a hard, grimy place and you had to dress accordingly. That represented the type of girl that I was, so that worked for me. End quote. Does she think there's been a change in the way female R&B looks now? Quote, yes, to me, it just seems like there's a lot less variety, end quote. She says, quote, when you talk about the TLCs or the Marys, you had a chance to see women in different orbits. Bracket TLCs and bracket Chili was one way. T dash Boz had a whole other style. Now I think we see almost only one thing when it comes to female performers. Obviously, they're beautiful, so you want to emulate that, but I think there's some confusion as to what beauty looks like. Dash, it can only be over sexualized. What's refreshing is when you see people who know how to express themselves in a multitude of ways. Quote, we think dash, or maybe we're shown dash, that the more on this topic, Alicia Keys review dash soul singer opens door to blistering basement bash. Made with kind master themselves in a multitude of ways. Quote, we think dash, or maybe we're shown dash, that the only way to express ourselves is through that very sexy energy. I think there's more than that which shows our power. For me, I sometimes feel the most sexy when I'm totally covered head to toe, end quote. We meet in the week that it was revealed that Donald Trump acknowledged that his daughter is a piece of ass dash and that 35 is the age he tends to check out on a woman. She cracks her knuckles unnervingly loudly. Quote, I don't listen to anything that he says. Does anybody care what he thinks about women? That's the only question. I just was wondering. Quote, does she think the comments might have ruined Trump? Quote, to me, he's never been in, end quote. Can she see another black president? Quote, yes, just as I can see a woman president, end quote. One of the shadowy dinner party guests moves forward and calls time. Quote, I guess come with me to the little sound check thing, end quote, says Keys. Made with kind master, she enters Times Square on the arm of a young male assistant, a Starbucks in one hand and a big hooded blanket over her headscarf with mirrored sunglasses, looking like Erica Badu. The video for Blended Family dash her sober song of inclusion dash flashes up and down the length of the buildings like a Benetton ad. At the back of the VIP section, Kasim Dean in a posh camel coat holds two small boys wearing New York baseball caps. Made with kind master, quote, I guess come with me to the little sound check thing, end quote, says Keys. Made with kind master, Alicia here, American E, Keys performing Empire State of Mind with Jay-Z as part of her album launch in Times Square last month. Photograph: Gary Gershoff / Getty Images for Alicia Keys. Made with Kind Master, Keys smashes out delicious Gershwin-esque chords on an upright piano. She sounds like a female Stevie Wonder, and throwing her arms up, she becomes an ambassador for Black Lives Matter, quote, "Don't let these people make you think we are different from each other. I feel like we have devolved, ! End quote, for women, quote, without women there would be no humans, ! End quote, and for moms everywhere, quote, there's nothing worse than being cold at a concert, end quote, and finally the bit the crowd have been waiting for, quote, this ignorant racist jackass whose name rhymes with scum has the nerve to talk about grabbing pussy. If you care about your life, then vote for it, please," end quote. When Jay-Z joins her on stage for Empire State of Mind, the taxis of Times Square appear to be drifting silently in the slipstream of the song. Tourists emerging from Broadway theaters get an experience they couldn't have paid for, in which the teenage Keys, making her way to some vocal class round the corner years ago, almost certainly never imagined. Here is out now on RCA Records. Made with Kind Master. View comments, view on theguardian.com related stories, playlists for the summer, musicians and DJs choose their favorite tunes. Alicia Keys, here review, gritty, gut, punch, power. Made with Kind Master. Here is out now on RCA Records. This article contains affiliate links, which means we may earn a small commission if a reader clicks through and makes a purchase. All our journalism is independent and is in no way influenced by any advertiser or commercial initiative. By clicking on an affiliate link, you accept that the third party cookies will be set. More information, topics, Alicia Keys / The Observer, R&B / Soul / Black Lives Matter Movement / Features FNP. Made with Kind Master. Train your brain with Tropic Cats. Download on App Store. Bracket photos and bracket mom gets strange feeling about future son in law. So she ... the primary market. The worst places to vacation in America, stay far away from no. End a lot travel. Warning, highly addictive dice game. Play free. Play Store. Outbrain about this content. Yahtzee. Play now. Made with Kind Master. Alicia Keys, Girl on Fire review. Alicia Keys, Girl on Fire review. Promoted links from around the web. Recommended by Outbrain. Made with Kind Master. Music. The writer who made his prose rock and roll. Cher fabulous show turns back time and turns up camp. Summer Walker pole dancing and ballads by sex positive R&B star. Wyatt's Blood's cultural highlights. Made with Kind Master. About us, contact us, complaints and corrections, secured drop, work for us, privacy policy, cookie policy, your privacy, terms and conditions, help, advertise with us, search jobs, dating, patrons, discount codes, all topics, all writers, Modern Slavery Act, Digital Newspaper Archive, Facebook, Twitter, support The Guardian, contribute, subscribe, back to top, C Circle 2019, Guardian News and Media Limited or its affiliated companies, all rights reserved.